your festive pay-the-bills job work bender. Being advised to just get a job in EastEnders.
If you're lucky to be in paid work, you're knackered in panto. And if you're not, strangers are asking, been in anything I know.
Your mum asks what you want as you shove chocolate in your gob.
You say all I want for Christmas is a bloody acting job.
Or a paid-off overdraft or a sugar daddy to pay my rent.
The joyous Christmas season for the 98%.
Hello, company, and welcome to Show People, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the UK performing arts industry and those dedicated to their craft. While the mulled wine has been poured, the mince pies have been laid out, because today we have a very special Christmas crossover episode where the Show People podcast meets the 98%. Ladies and gentlemen, please go mad for the one, the only, Morden and Katie Elin-Salt of the 98%! Guys, welcome to the very first Show People podcast / 98% podcast.
It's a
Christmas
mashup.
Yeah, so we should also say welcome you, Andrew, to the 98% / Show People podcast.
We say sat in my own flat at the moment, surrounded genuinely by, well, we're kind of having a bit of a sort of Christmas
We're
party.
having a Christmas tapas. Unfortunately, and Alexa failed to mention that she was a vegan, so I've had to eat all of the pigs in blankets, which I will continue to shove in my face as we record. But Alexa's got some celery, so she's happy, aren't
some
you?
celery.
And you had breadsticks in the car.
Breadsticks for dinner. We came straight from our pay the bills job on a Saturday, so ate in the car.
So I listen to you guys in the morning when I'm having a shower.
Oh,
so
it's
next time
such
you're
a
recording,
tribute.
just know that I'm probably, sudding up my testicles or something, listening and agreeing with
lovely.
you and Annie Rowe.
Can you put that on an iTunes review,
Yes, I
please?
can.
I enjoyed this while sudding up my testicles.
But yes, we have Christmas crackers, we have mince pies. I cut up some celery because we have a vegan in the house. We pretty much have. In fact, shall we open the crackers now?
Yeah.
Oh, sod it. Let's do it. Can we do that really weird, like sort of round? Oh no, it's difficult.
I mean,
with three,
I'm
isn't
just
it?
terrified of the
Okay,
champagne
we will
flutes
not.
at the moment.
Hang on, let me just get that out of the line of fire because, as everybody knows, I am horribly dyspraxic. So.
I've got dyspraxia.
Have you? Oh, the best people have dyspraxia.
Let me.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, so we should definitely get away from the table then. Right? Are we ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yes, I got one.
How did I lose both?
Oh, the man
thank you,
got
Andrew.
two. Standard.
So,
Patriarchy.
That's the industry for you. The man gets both.
what did we all win?
A nail file. Patriarchy strikes again.
I've got a dice. Let me roll it
I'm
and
putting
see
my hat
if I get
on.
a 6. I'm going to get a job in the RSC this year. Should we find out?
Oh my god.
3. Never going to happen. I'll be understudy.
What's half of the RSC?
Royal Exchange, maybe.
Still pretty good.
I mean, your gifts are quite good. I mean,
What have you got?
I've genuinely got the world's smallest book.
What are you going to write in there?
have
My
no
CV.
All the actors that I met and liked. Yes.
Can we do jokes, please?
Of course.
Would you like to go first?
No. Ladies first.
Okay. Where do you take a sick horse?
Hospital.
Yeah! Congratulations.
No way. That's a.
Can I tell you one that a kid I was teaching today told me?
Yeah.
It's not Christmas though. Knock, knock.
Who's them?
I'm up.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
for it.
Oh, you're a poo.
I'm a poo. What did the sea say to the sand? This isn't even Christmas themed.
No, these are
Nothing. It just waved. Oh, for God's sake.
Well, thank you very much, Sainsbury's, for these Christmas crackers.
Do better with your
Andrew,
jokes, please. Thank
for
you,
the
though,
crackers
Andrew.
and for
We've
the
not got any
celery.
hats, though. That's very
I've
sad.
got a hat.
I've got a hat.
Where the fuck is mine? Oh, no, hang on. It's hiding. It's hiding. Let me just deal with that.
Surprise, surprise. The actress is complaining about the costume already.
We feel very privileged today. It's very professional setup here.
I know, we've got
we
3
each have a
microphones.
microphone. We each have headphones that we're trying to put our Christmas hats over.
Which is impossible. I've managed.
I've managed.
These will
it.
be great for the Instagram post afterwards.
Okay.
The two dyspraxic people can't even put the hats on.
No, we didn't even bother.
Mine's firmly on
friends.
there. But we're very used to sitting on cushions on the floor, plonking our microphone in the middle, trying not to let the cat attack it. So this feels like a real step up. It's like VIP podcast style.
So there's I've just realised what we should be talking about. So for people listening to this, there's going to be people wondering, who on earth is this strange alcoholic homosexual?
Two people I have never heard of before. Why should I bother?
Why, in a nutshell, why don't you describe what the 98% is, and then I'll tell you what the Show People podcast is for all of our various
I've
listeners.
said this many times. I have a little spiel.
No, but I feel like now you're
testing
testing me. Okay, it's okay. So the 98%, we got our title from a study that was done by Casting Call
Hang
Pro.
on, let me.
Okay, sorry, I'll just go back to my Prosecco.
Let's reenact it. So I say, I've got a podcast.
What's your podcast?
Oh, we're called the 98%.
Why is it called the 98%?
Because we represent the 98% of actors who earn less than £20,000 a year, which in London is a living wage, which means we represent and we talk about all the things that actors go through that isn't all the jobs they have, because actually most of our time is taken up with trying to pay our rent, trying to have some sort of life whilst pursuing our acting.
And can I ask you, Alexa, what on earth possessed you and Katie to set up this podcast? It sounds massively depressing.
Well, we got, as much as we love hearing from actors that are quote unquote successful, we found that it seems like success is measured by how much acting work you've done, which can leave actors feeling very unsuccessful and therefore miserable because they're not in constant work, when actually this study that said 98% of us aren't earning our main source of income from acting. So more of us are not than are. And we felt like you turn on the TV, you go to talk shows, you listen to podcasts, and while that's all great, we don't actually hear from the majority of us, and it makes us feel quite alone in the struggles we have. And why can't we deem success as working 3 jobs and auditioning and having a life?
I just feel like, for me, I feel like we spend so much of our time as actors justifying our existence to, as I like to call them, muggles. Like people asking you in the pub, have you been in anything? You get in a taxi, classic. And people say, the taxi driver, what do you do? And generally I say I'm a nurse because I cannot be asked. But when you do say you're an actor, they like, they instantly think that they've got an in into your career. I've been asked how much I earn before now. I've been asked, are you famous? And the best bit is, are you in anything I've seen? I don't know what you've seen. It's just bollocks. But I don't fucking know. I'm not in your house. That would be weird. But I just feel like we get that enough from the outside world, and we don't need to do that to each other. And I think that
do you get the advice as well of the things that you should be in? You guys should do. You should do EastEnders.
Have you thought about Coronation Street? You should write to Coronation, as in the personification
there's a
of
girl
Coronation
who looks just
Street.
like you. And actually,
it's Christmas, when you're seeing family that you only see once a year that say, oh, I was at the hairdressers and I met this woman whose cousin works in the costume department at Emmerdale. Shall I try and get her email address for you? Like, it's all
the secret answer is yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Right.
I mean, I need all the help I can get, thank you.
And we when we only hear from A-listers and actors that we all know, it kind of sets this precedent that
that's normal. And actually it's not.
And that's what makes you worthwhile. And it's just a bit like, if I don't get to that level, then I'm not good enough. And we're constantly...
This is where, because we joked before we came on air, so the Show People podcast is kind of the antithesis to that. But I think the story of the Show People podcast, if you go all the way back to episode 1, I met with a young actor, and she basically just wanted to cry on me for 2 hours and just, sob at the fact that she hadn't been working. And in many ways, her happiness was entirely dependent on whether she was working. And we chatted, and I did all the normal things like, hey, why don't you, get involved in something that will be with other creative people? When was the last time you've been to the theatre, for example? When was the last time that you went to the Actors Centre, did a masterclass? And she turned around to me, and she works at a place I actually worked at when I first started, which is the world's most disgusting, soul-destroying call centre in the world. And she said, Andrew, I don't have time. And my response was, that age-old thing. Well, make time. And she showed me her phone, and I know the wages she was on. Showed me her phone, and even working every hour God sends, she had absolutely no time.
Yeah.
And there are lots of friends that I've got that perhaps might be deemed successful, but they haven't had success. It's not like once you get success, you've then got this sort of like level thing of everything is successful. I've got mates who've got Olivier Awards who are signing on the dole. You know, like so. Anyway, I jumped on the tube, and I've always been a podcast listener, and I've always been a big radio listener. I fall asleep listening to the radio, fall asleep listening to podcasts. I've fallen asleep with you two.
And
Don't talk about that, Andrew. That was a Saturday night that I'd rather not talk about.
But what was funny is, as I got on the tube, I think it was the National podcast. Well, the National today. And it was two white chaps, you know, saying, you know, really, Ageless was really just predicting the immigration crisis in his work. And I was listening to it going, this means nothing. There's nothing inspiring. There's no hardship. This is just intellectual bullshit.
And for us, it was the question with all these things, what's the longest time you've been out of work? And the person says, 3 months. And I'm like, fucking great. Why don't you try 2 years? Like, and we feel like admitting that and talking about that is kind of embarrassing. And the comments we've got from our podcast that's been so amazing is people saying, finally, like, you've made me feel like I'm not a failure for living this, and actually we're all in this together.
Yeah, and I think that there is definitely, like, I think your podcast, I love your podcast very much. It's very weird to be sitting here looking at you as an actual person, not just a vocal cord. But I think that, you know, people doing very, very well and working constantly and winning awards is abnormal in our industry. And I think that is why it's so interesting, because it's an oddity. Whereas actually, I think that if you only hear from those people, you think that is what's normal. Do you know what I mean?
But this is what I've loved with show people, is taking people, as I usually do, is go back to the very beginning of their lives. Often some of the most successful people that we've had on the show, working class background, no money, no privilege other than perhaps their culture or the colour of their skin. Although of course we're very passionate about getting lots of people from different backgrounds on the show as well. But also just understanding that, like, we go from peaks and troughs. And even people like in the West End at the moment, which for some reason we put as the pinnacle, and I don't know why, you look at their wages. It's nowhere near. You look at what people get on Broadway.
And their hours, and, you know, they don't, you know, I've worked with people in the West End that haven't seen their children, you know, because you're gone and, you know, they're in bed by the time, you know, it's not an easy life. And I think that we're sold this idea that, you know, if you're not 100% happy and smashing it all of the time, then you're a failure. And actually, I think that there is power in acknowledging that what we do is really, really difficult. And actually, I mean, you know, my friends in where I'm from, you know, in the arsehole end of South Wales, think that I'm absolutely nuts. And, you know, like, for just like having 5 jobs and actually saying it's really hard. And the reason I'm struggling is because this is really difficult and I deserve a fucking cookie. Thank you.
Something we came across a lot doing our podcast is saying, don't get your value from other acting work. So like you were saying to your friend, find other things that make you happy. And I have to say, we say it, but it's a lot easier to say it than to live it. I still find it really hard. And I do feel like if I booked an acting job, things would be better and I would be happy. That's okay to feel that, but we also have to recognize that you should accept where you are at the moment and not feel
like you're putting your life on pause.
Yeah, or like it's embarrassing, or like when you meet another actor, it's like, I've said, it's like 2 stags, you know, with their antlers. It's like, what have you been up to? Well, what have you been up to?
That
and
really
suddenly you start listing your CV as if that's all there is to you.
You have been to freedom then, but you know, the other thing is, I really think it comes down to this, because I don't think it's just about, you know, whether you've got an Olivier or whether you've got that part. I think it's just that, and this is why I think people are listening to our voices on our own podcasts. It's being in a company with like-minded people, not being alone in this big old city, to just be able to talk about the work, to have the empathy that we have as artists. I think that's what we really crave. It is funny how next time I listen to the 98%, how wonderful it's going to be like, oh no, I know those guys. Like, you know,
Yeah,
to
when we
their
listen,
face, you know.
when we listen to you, we can imagine this table with this very professional
literally.
microphone
but
setup.
I wonder if it'll take a little bit.
microphones.
But I wonder whether it'll take a little bit of the magic away. Because I
Maybe.
always feel a little bit disappointed when I listen to My Favourite Murder. I was like, oh, look at these amazing chicks. And then I saw their pictures and I was like, oh, they just...
No, but I
people.
like that. Just like one of my favourite bits of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here is the coming out show, where you see all the behind the scenes footage of them coming out and all the boring stuff they do afterwards, like stripping it all back.
Do you know the worst thing in the world? So as a director, obviously I speak to a lot of agents, and there are some agents that have really sexy voices.
Oh, really?
And you can there's one particular agent who will remain nameless.
Can you tell us later, please?
No. Who has the sexiest voice. And I must have spoken to him for years and years and years, very since we'd never met. And then this troll came crawling across the floor towards me.
What a letdown.
Like Gollum.
And literally like Gollum. And
Like the girl from The Ring with her leg coming over.
Really was. And I was like, oh, hi. And I see. And then he spoke and he went, oh, I'm such and such from such and such. And a part of me wanted to sob. I was like, but in my mind,
You build up
like,
it's like Miriam Margolyes is the classic, you know, the voice of the caramel adverts is, you know, this tiny
careful
little...
what you say, Miriam's a mate. Miriam's a good mate. She's beautiful.
I love Miriam, but I mean, she's beautiful in a very specific way and not in the way that I was thinking
Miriam
when I
Margolyes
listened
is
to
the only person that I've ever gone for a pizza with. And what Miriam does with a pizza is she folds it over and picks it up and eats it a little bit
like a sandwich. What a
literally like
legend.
sandwich.
I
She's
take back
incredible.
everything I
She's
said. That's the
incredible.
most sexy thing I've ever heard in my
She
life.
is literally incredible. But I agree with you. She was the Cadbury's bunny, and perhaps, you know, she's not.
It's not the mental image that you would have thought of the Cadbury bunny.
Hello, this is Tricky Monster, all the way from Avenue Q. You are listening to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats. Yeah! Who is Andrew Keats? Who the fuck? Huh?
So usually on the Show People podcast, what we would do is we would, you know, go back to the very beginning and we would go through everyone's credits. But because it's the Christmas issue, we're sort of doing highlights. The thing I love on the 98% is when you guys talk about some of the, how should we put it, the resting jobs that you have had.
I'm not
resting.
I'm not. Well,
Yes,
you said
pay your bills job.
Yeah, pay
your
the
bills
bills
jobs.
job. Because Katie said, so we have a whole episode on this. If you're new to us, and our second episode, like that's how important it was for us. So our first episode is kind of about us, is more of the backstory. And the first episode we did on a subject was quote unquote resting. jobs. Because that's one of the main things that actors feel like they shouldn't talk about, when actually that's how we pay our bills. And Katie says it's not a resting job. If anything, I'm resting when I'm acting because my Oyster card is resting.
My sense of crippling rejection is...
My mental state is resting because I'm not dealing with rejection all the time.
Maybe because I'm such a, you know, history buff and obsessed with artists across so many platforms, but like all artists, directors, actors, you name it, all artists, essentially our job is to survive. You know, the great painters, for example, you know, yes, they might have been, you know, doing these great masters, but they were also painting portraits of people they really didn't want to paint, you know, just to pay their bills.
It still feels like getting an acting job is a bonus for me. So why should the thing we pay our bills with be called resting, as if we're taking a break? Like a couple months ago, I was working 3 jobs. I was working 8:30 till 4 in schools, and then I was going to babysitting till about like midnight, and then at the weekend I was teaching at stage schools. I was going non-stop. That's not flipping resting.
No. But also, there's no shame in having to pay your bills. So I don't know if you've seen, but somebody put out a tweet recently with 3 elves outside Hamleys.
Hamleys elves.
We retweeted
giving it
yeah.
welly. I'm sorry. I am a fellow elf. In fact, I've very recently written a play about not my experiences, but the experiences of an elf in a grotto. Can I just give a huge, festive shout out from Sprinkles Grotto 2015 and the Snow Queen Grotto 2017 to every single elf busting a gut, RADA trained, with sticky children pouring at you constantly. And those three brilliant performers outside Hamleys. And what I loved about them is they were going for it.
So for anybody that's wondering, why on earth have they suddenly, become obsessed about, elf and safety? There are three elves outside Hamleys doing a dance routine, and what surprise! I mean, there is a sort of knowing wink to perhaps that might not necessarily be a job at the Nash, which is West End location. They said acting job. They said or whatever, and I didn't really have a problem with that. That was sort of a knowing wink to, perhaps there might be jobs that they'd rather be doing than being in the freezing cold dancing
to Jingle Bell Rock. Fair enough.
I understand that. What I didn't like was rather more seeing people in the industry, via Facebook in particular, really belittling what they were doing. So I tweeted, look, if you are that successful, you should know better. And I suspect that most of the negative comments or the belittling comments are really just to make yourself feel better. At the end of the day, people have bills to pay. They're living in London and it's tough. And I meant that. And it's, that tweet has now gone all over the place. But at the end of the day, we're living in London, most of us, or a city. It's
expensive. How the fuck do you think I'm paying my bills? And also, I mean, I think that this is what it's interesting that you should say that about Facebook, because actually most of the responses that I saw on Twitter were overwhelmingly positive.
We quoted the tweet and we poked fun at it as well, but from a place of,
I mean, I have literally done that.
So we wrote a tweet of, like when you ask Santa for a job, for a performing job in London, and you didn't specify. So they give you a job in Hamleys.
I think it's fine. I think, and we're about to have, hopefully, I would like to have a conversation with you about some of the shit that I've done over the years. But and it is, I mean, come on, it's fucking funny, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest.
But also, the other thing about it is, I mean, look, when I was a teenager, pre-drama schools, in Bournemouth. Now, if you want to go to the most disappointing place in Bournemouth, it is called the Alice in Wonderland Family Theme Park.
That sounds fantastic.
Oh
no, it isn't.
I mean, it's it was a horrible thing, horrible place. But I was the Mad Hatter, doing 3 children's shows a day. I would have to obviously do children's birthday parties as the Mad Hatter. Would have to walk around the park, etc., with a 6-foot rabbit, which was Nick Hayes. If anyone knows who Nick Hayes is, one of the most beautiful musical theatre performers ever. And yeah, I mean, it was one of those jobs which you could sort of turn into a sitcom.
Was it hell on earth?
It wasn't hell on earth. It wasn't hell on earth. But do you know what it was? It wasn't the drama school I wanted to be at, and it certainly wasn't the Shakespeare plays that I wanted to be in.
And it wasn't the audience you wanted to perform in front of you.
No, and actually what was funny about the kids' work is you would find yourself, like a good Disney film, putting humour into things. Like I used to call Alice a tart muncher, for example. We used to do a thing where, I'd get the kids to shout, whenever the White Rabbit would come on, I'd get all the kids to shout myxomatosis, and you would find, these scripts would develop into these very dark little playlets. But, and also it was opposite Bournemouth Airport. And then one day, I shit you not, a plane crashed, little 4-seater, crashed into the side of the park. It's all on, if you look it up, Bournemouth Daily Echo, about whenever it was, when I was a kid. A plane landed. So, the Mad Hatter and Alice were sort of ushering all the children, don't look at the fuselage, don't hear the screams of the pilot, and you look back and you go, gosh, that's absolutely insane. But I was earning a living.
Yeah.
And I was a 17-year-old kid or whatever. And I was living with me mum. Now, these guys in Hamleys, I bet they're bringing masses of joy to kids.
Oh, God, yes.
Well, I shared it on Facebook, and someone I know from America commented saying, yes, this is Hamleys, because I guessed it was Hamleys. And she said,
that elf is fantastic.
We were there last week with my 10-year-old son, and they brought so much joy to him, and just would have made his trip from America to London, that much.
Do you know the other thing in musical theatre, though, that can sometimes get like eye rolls? Panto. Panto is one of the most important things in the theatre in this country, in my opinion. And the reason, and I would be a terrible panto director, but it is the kids, I believe, it is the kids that get to go and see the panto that see a pyrotechnic go off and a fairy appear and they go, oh, wow.
Well,
but then 20 years' time, want to go to the National or become actors.
It was my first experience of going to the theatre as a working class person. I never would have been taken to the RSC, but I went to Panto every year. I've done Panto twice, and I'm telling you now, it is the most exhausting experience oh my God. Like, you're coming off, you're like, you've already had the half of the call, and you're like being zipped back into fucking Snow White. You've got to go out and do One Direction again, and you're so hungover. And it's Boxing Day, and the last thing you want to do is be going out and doing, oh no, it isn't. But it's genuinely, I learned so much from doing Panto about myself, about my stamina, about managing my own performances. Because, it's very hard. It's very hard to find a through line from, oh, where is the handsome prince gone? And like just like professionalism, like genuinely, I learned how to be a professional performer from doing Panto and being like, don't be a dick and get smashed every night.
I think it all comes down to, I'm really bored of listening to people's opinion on other people's work when it doesn't really have anything to do with them.
And why, why do you care? And I think that must show something lacking in you. And I feel people, when I say, and there's been a big thing in the press at the moment about regional theatre and people not wanting to do regional theatre, and which is absolute crap in my opinion. But when I say, I'm just about to do a play now, and then I say, it's regional theatre, and you see people going, oh, and it's like, fuck off. Like, how does it affect you that I'm going to Crewe? Obviously I have some concerns about going to Crewe. I'm not going to Crewe, by the way. I'm just using that as an example. I was never going to Crewe. No, it is actually. But why does it, it's just weird. And I just feel like there's this insecurity that unless you're in the West End, and even if you are, like where does it end?
What have been some of our less glamorous jobs that we've done?
The ones that crush your soul.
Right, okay,
maybe some of those.
Right, okay, I'm going to tell you a story here. As I said, I am highly experienced in grotto life. Are we ready for a tale from grotto life, everybody? Yeah. It's going to get very dark. Grab a drink. So I am playing Sprinkles the Elf in a grotto somewhere in East London, if you can picture the scene. I get in for my shift at 10 in the morning in this huge, and it's like a huge grotto. It's not like your standard grotto. There's like a virtual reality experience. And then you go through and you have to make your own gingerbread man. And then there's about 3 Santas, and you get to you get like about 30 children going into the various Santas. It's a whole thing. Everyone there is obviously RADA trained and very, very sad about the fact that they are there, but we're running with it. It's Christmas and we've all got bills to pay. So I rock up for my shift 10 o'clock in the morning, guys. And the grotto manager is looking very sad outside the grotto, and the doors are closed and the virtual reality machine is turned off. No. And I say, what? In my head I'm thinking, day off, full pay. But I say, very somberly, what's happened? And I'm told there's been an incident. I say, what is the incident? So Santa sat down on his obviously on his chair to get ready for the role for the day, to do a bit of method acting before he started, and an elf put their hand on the chair, and there was semen.
Oh no.
Guys, there was semen all over the chair, all over Santa's chair. And then they went into the virtual reality machine and they turned it on, and there was wall-to-wall pornography on every single bit of the and then I turned on all the iPads. There are vaginas. They're staring me in the face.
Imagine if you had one of those luminol
Hang on, wait for it. No. So it turns out the security guard that was on duty had a few too many and wanked all over the grotto. Brilliant. And I mean, but he just surely after 2 you'd be tired, but no, Santa was not responsible for this. He had wanked all over the grotto. So then it was up to me and the merry old band of elves to disinfect the rest of the grotto.
That is not your job.
Detolling the rest of the grotto.
3 years at drama school.
3 years of training, and I'm detolling semen off Santa's grotto. grotto. The best part about it was I thought I got rid of all trace of porn on all the iPads. I am, we've.
Why did you need so much?
And also, surely, like after, not that I'm a connoisseur of pornography, but surely after one, you're sort of done. I don't really? Know. Okay, each to their own. But for me, when did he sleep? But then the worst part about
the grotto, though.
The grotto of all play. Well, the Wi-Fi was very
reality.
strong, and the
virtual Wi-Fi was strong. And That's
it was wall
That's
to
my
wall.
wanking cave.
The wank cave. But the worst part about it was we reopened the grotto probably sooner than we should, and I felt very questionable about it. But I was in full sprinkles role, and
that's not a euphemism, is it?
I was in full sprinkles. Let's not talk about that.
Golden sprinkles.
Oh, don't! It's Christmas, Alexa, please. But I was.
More eggnog, anyone?
I was, giving my elf, and when the children go in to see Santa, they were obviously these iPads that we put on, and there's this app where they make their own gingerbread men. So, guys, picture the scene. There's all these parents. I've got this child. Oh, hello. Before you see Santa, would you like to make your own gingerbread man? So, I turn on the app, which is connected to the wall and looks like, it's part of the grotto. And me and this 3-year-old child are looking, and a full vagina is staring us both in the face. And I'm talking full frontal vagina. And all I can say is that my 3 years of acting training kicked in my improvisation term, because I just, that little snatch off you do. And I went, oh, looks like Rudolph's been taking selfies of his hooves again.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That is also, of all the things you described, the one moment that I felt the most queasy. The idea of Rudolph's hairy vagina.
Rudolph's hairy hooves. What a fantastic tongue twister. And it really was that moment as I snatched a vagina off a grotto wall. Yes, as I snatched a snatch, which I can't say that after 4 bottles of Prosecco. As I snatched a snatch when I thought, if there was ever a time where I would consider doing a PGCE, it would really be now.
Oh. Alexa, what's been one of your...
Well, how on earth do you top that?
You're asking a gay man. I choose not to.
If you weren't homosexual enough, the image of a reindeer hoof, I think.
A reindeer hoof is the least
That's
festive
the episode
thing
title there.
described.
3 years of drama school training to Dettol semen offer. What happened to that security guard? Did he go to jail?
Can I tell you what happened to him?
Everyone wants to know.
So when it's so much better than whatever you were thinking. So when we complained about him to the head of security, who is a woman, which is, brilliant for her, we said, I don't know quite how to tell you this, but
Were you dressed as an elf at the time?
Full sprinkles. The security guard that was on last night, I don't know how to say this, has masturbated all over the grotto. And can you tell us who was on shift? And she said, well, the only person that was on shift last night was my husband.
No.
Yes, I'm not even joking.
I am
not even joking. So I don't know what happened in that house on Christmas Eve, but I don't think it was Merry
like
Christmas.
A Channel 4 drama.
I know, I shouldn't have even said anything. I should just write it down.
Quick, copyright it.
Okay,
How do we do that?
Copyright Sprinkles the Elf. So following on from Seaman.
I think it was working in Harrods in the lead up to Christmas, because Harrods is that number one place, isn't it, when you're a kid and you visit London. I remember going to Harrods with my friend as like a trip to London and buying the cheapest thing there just so I could get the Harrods plastic bag and keep it as a memento. So it's like this magical place, and then you go and work there and you're like, oh, this is hell on earth. And there are no windows, which when you're in there for half an hour, you don't really realise. But when you're working there, so you don't know what time of day or night it is. And then for some reason, they don't play songs. It must be something to do with licensing or something. But they just play in the lead up to Christmas, like Jingle Bell and a drum beat on repeat. And it is like torture, like the same. You don't know how many times you've heard this loop, this like 15-second loop, and it maybe have a couple lyrics, and then it goes back to the beginning, and you're there for 8 hours in 4-inch heels or however high your heels are.
They specify.
You have, yeah.
I know people whose feet have been bleeding, and they've said, tough, you have to stand. And then the thing that you don't even realize is standing on marble floor. That's what makes it worse. And you're not allowed to move, so you have to find a position. You stand there with your hands in front of you and smile for 8 hours, and you only move if someone asks you to go and help them over there with this £3,000 moisturizer. And the days go so slow, And I really, it was just not in a good
horrible.
place.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know anyone that would enjoy doing
And then the
that.
thing with that is, so this is something else we talked in the second episode of our podcast, is you work via an agency. So you work with employees of Harrods, and everything you sell, they get your commission.
What?
So when they see you turn up, like we fill in for the employees that have called in sick. So when they see you turn up, they slack off because they know that we don't get the commission. We just get an hourly rate. And as actors, we're like...
The commission might be really helpful, thanks.
Yeah, but also I'm so committed and competitive with myself. I want to sell the most.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it all, and you turn up and they're quickly like, this is it. I'm giving it all. I'm selling. I remember selling £3,000 worth of skincare products to some really rich woman. And the guy who just stood there all day ended up taking my commission. And that's why
fair.
I'm happy to be teaching now, is because I'm somewhat engaged with what I'm doing.
I do think that you have to. It's really difficult. There's a balance, because the reason why this company that we've talked about get away with it is, I remember the woman saying to me in the interview, the benefit of this job is if you call us 10 minutes before your shift and you say that you have an audition, we will never be negative towards you. And I think that,
Which is also a lie.
which is a massive lie. But
It turned out you had to let them know 6 p.m. the night before, and
Well, so
Yeah.
it's all bullshit.
It's bullshit
Yeah.
anyway, but I think that a lot of companies get away with treating people like this because they say we offer flexibility. And of course, as actors, we really need that.
and your
But I
first
think
year in London, it was my first
Yeah,
few months.
yeah,
It was my
yeah.
first month in London.
I think that's like it's a very hard balance to strike between having a job that you really, really enjoy, but also a job that facilitates your career. You know, it's hard, but I do think it is so important. It is so important just to have a job. You know, it's work. When I get up and I'm acting, it doesn't feel like it's work, you know, but when I get up and I'm teaching, as much as I love it, I do feel like I'm going to I would be staying in bed unless I was getting paid to do this.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important to have something that you can cope with. Right, now tell us about you.
All right.
Any wanking security guards in your line of fire?
Well, it's funny you say that. There's been a few jobs. There's been a few interesting jobs. So what you were saying about the repeating music, when I was at the Gay Straight Alliance, otherwise known as the Guildford School of Acting, I used to work at weekends and at Christmas during the evenings at the Guildford Disney store.
Oh, God.
And because I love Disney. I love Disney.
Me too.
Disney is brilliant. Disney is a brilliant, brilliant thing.
Undoubtedly.
But Disney has some quite unusual rules. So, for example, you don't have customers, you have guests. You don't have a uniform, you have a costume. You don't go to the storeroom, you go backstage. When you're dealing with customers, you are on stage.
really?
You only have I shouldn't really say this, but you only have a customer when someone's robbing a Little Mermaid dress. So you go to your manager, I think that customer needs help, which means they're nicking shit.
When I worked in Ann Summers, can I just say, if you saw someone that was about to nick something, you'd say, that customer over there needs a yellow bra, because we didn't sell any yellow bras. So that's how we'd know.
Genius. The other thing is, but the thing is, I love Disney, love it, and I'd be there. The uniforms are very different to what they are now. But whilst I would be working there, if you've ever been in a Disney store, there is always a great big screen which is showing people think Disney films. It is not.
No, it's just like 15-second clips, isn't it?
It is 15 minutes exactly. Which loops. And and they only change it every season. But you can guarantee in every season they include one song. And one song that I will die and I will still hear in the back of my tiny brain. And that is It's a Small World.
Oh, yeah.
You can only listen to that song for a certain amount of months.
That is a really torturous song as well.
And
if
they
you play that on a loop.
at the parks as well. I went to Disneyland California, and you're there for a day, and you don't even remember hearing it, but somehow you leave singing it. Like, it's like subliminal messaging.
Did you feel, was that song in your nightmares for a considerable length of time?
It was. I mean, I did love working there. I did really love working there. They have a whole customer service thing, which is all about magic, and that's an acronym for things, and it's all about making the customer's day, and it's all really, really lovely. But fundamentally, it is a conglomerate organization. So you can have a little bit of fun depending on what mood your manager was in. So one of the best jobs for an hour you would do is what we used to call demo. And demo basically meant play with the toys and make kids want to play with them. And the big toy when I was there was a remote controlled Lightning McQueen, the red car, if you've seen cars, which was new then. And I was whizzing this car around the store and kids like, that's amazing. And there's also all the plush that's everywhere, the giant Eeyores and whatever. And I was being dyspraxic. I'm not very good with coordination.
I feel you.
Like just how I'm not. That's why I don't drive. I'd kill people. Like it's why I don't drive. And anyway, so demoing this Lightning McQueen, and it hits an Eeyore. The Eeyore falls over, and I say at the top of my voice, in my young drama school voice, "Oh no, Eeyore's been in a car crash."
Did all the kids go?
No, I just looked up. My manager has her arms folded. She was, gosh, she's butch, folded, and just looked at me and went, "Can you please come backstage, Andrew?" And I was taken backstage and explained why under no circumstances should I ever say that Eeyore was involved in a car crash in the Disney store. Do you know what you were saying? Andrew, I like you and you're very funny, but I do not expect your beloved Disney characters being involved in fatal accidents. I just want to say, all you can do is like go, this is my only job. I won't be able to live without this.
And did you find yourself apologising?
I actually found myself crying.
Eeyore. Did you cry actual tears?
I just cried, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I love this job. I said, I always use humour. I'm so sorry. Please don't.
I'm so sorry that I said Eeyore was in a car crash.
She gave me a written warning. It's only I've never been sacked from a job, but she gave me a written warning.
But did you put it in the written warning? I am giving him a written warning because he said Eeyore
was involved in a car crash.
But kids forget about that 5 seconds
No, they
later.
don't. There's going to be some child in therapy in 15 years' time saying all the anxiety started when the man in the Disney store said that Eeyore had been involved in a car crash.
Oh my God, I just realised that Eeyore's name sounds like how a donkey.
Yeah, that's the point, yeah.
You're drunk.
Hello, my dears. You have the ineffable and probably undeserved pleasure of listening to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats. This is Stephen Fry wishing you a wonderful listen. Thank you.
The worst job. Mm-hmm. Do you remember Funny Bones? In a dark house in a dark street. And in a dark street. Beautiful
staircase.
So on a dark DLR journey to a dark part of London, there is a dark, very, very tall building, and it's called RSVP.
Do you know I've never been?
Well, we said in our episode is we've never and could never do call centre work and charity stopping people on the street.
But I've lost many friends to both GoGen and RSVP.
So RSVP was I'm going to say it was the worst job of my entire life. I just got to London. I just needed a job. And I was like, how hard can it be? At the end of the day, I've done sales in a previous life, and that's all good. As I wanted just selling magazine subscriptions. And there is a nice end to the story. But I was very good at selling. I'm not very good at being told what to do. I either like to work in a collaborative environment or people do what I say. And anyway, I'm working in this call center, which is run entirely by actors and creatives.
Well, I mean, that in principle,
Brilliant
that sounds
idea.
great.
It's a brilliant idea. Apart from, particularly, and again, being a director wasn't too bad, but watching actors go, I'm off, audition. Of course, that entire floor hates
I want
that
to eat
person.
my own nose. Yeah.
Anyway.
And you're like, what's it for? Like pretending like you're just asking because you're interested, and really you're asking, you're going to go online and find out who the casting director is and write to your agent and say that you should be blah, blah, blah.
But what was depressing about it is, I worked for a company called Which. Which they put washing machines and shit. Yeah. They test hoovers and things. How many times have you seen on the television, get your free Which guide? Oh, it's great. It'll help with your laptops, or your grow your own veg guide. And basically text this number and we'll send you your free guide about how to grow your own veg.
Yeah.
The reason they do that is because then they've got your details. And then those details go in a computer And then someone like me would have to phone and go, hello there, Andrew, phoning on behalf of which, just wanted to phone about your free fruit and veg, grow your own fruit and veg guide, or your free fix your laptop guide, or your free internet security guide. All right, it's free, isn't it? Of course it is. Absolutely. Just want to take some details off you. And what we'll do is we'll send out that guide to you and get your laptop all sorted. And a lot of these people are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s. This is just my experiences. And so there's all your details, and then, something's just popped up on my computer. Had not popped up on my computer. My script was telling me that's what had happened. It's saying here that for just £3, you can get a copy of our free whatever magazine, and there's absolutely no obligation to stay. However, if you don't cancel the trial, it will turn into a recurring direct debit. It's only £3. Do you want me to pop that on as well for you, sir? Talking to what I fundamentally found were people who were vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? It's really interesting that you should say that, because a friend of mine worked in GoGen and which is another big call centre of doom, and did charity. And what he found was that, so that they tell you, so they listen into your conversations, and basically you're trying to get money. Right. Yeah, you're trying to get money for a charity, and you say, I'm phoning on behalf of the or whatever charity, but you're not, you're in a call centre.
Were you about to say the RSC?
The RSC, yeah. And sadly, no, I don't think they have phones because they've never called me, so I don't think that they.
I think
they
you'll find it's all parchment and quills.
Yeah.
I will simply give my details to the RSC.
It's sent via pigeon, I think, but that you're told that these people have to give you 3 hard no's before you're allowed to put down the phone. So he said, for example, you get this, because the only people that will stay on the phone to you, because of course, if you phone me from, the RSC, I'll talk to you. But, if you phone me from, the Royal Society for the Prevention of, bird cruelty or something, I'm going to say, I have no time to talk to you, sir. But the only people
just go,
I'd say, I don't know what that was, a highly skilled bird on the spotlight form.
Sounded like a vocal warm-up.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the thing that Andrew hates. But
I hate vocal warm-ups.
I think the only people that will speak to you are older people that are very lonely. And he said often you have these old ladies saying, well, I can't afford to give £3 a month, and you have to say, I can't afford my heating bill, and then you're not allowed to say, don't worry, you've got to say, well, how about just £2 a month? And if you're nice, then they listen in and you get pulled in and you get told off. And I think he lasted about a week. And
but
just
the thing is, my experience is, I mean, the sad thing is actually is certainly at the time, I think it may have changed, but all of these things were legal. I used to also have to sell, so when magazines would come to an end of their subscription, it was my job to phone up on behalf of the magazine and go, I see your subscription's come to an end. We've got a special offer. You can get 3 issues free, and then it'll turn into a rolling subscription or whatever. And I used to sit next to a lovely older Welsh actor who I liked very much, and she used to bum shitloads of cigarettes off me, and we were working on a magazine called Trout and Salmon magazine, and I used to walk through the office with jazz hands kicking, singing Trout and Salmon with me and this wonderful Welsh actor. Anyway, eventually I left RSVP after however long I was there, because I phoned one bloke and I said, hello, can I speak to Mrs. Jones, please? And this broken voice came back and went, no, you can't. And I said, when's she going to be available? And he went, she's fucking dead, all right? And he was clearly a man who had just lost his life partner.
And the last thing he wants is your Trout and Salmon magazine.
Yeah. And so I took my headset off and I said to the woman who was manager, I think her name was Louise, I just went, I'm done. What's wrong? I said, nothing will make me come back. And I just had to get out for my soul. Yeah. But anyway, this woman, her name is Lisa. I bump into Lisa, I think a year later or something. I went, how are you doing? She went, Beers, just got myself a movie. I said, all right. I said, what's it about? She said, I don't know if it's going to do any well. He said, it's all about gays and AIDS and minors.
Palfrey.
It was Lisa Palfrey.
Yes! And anyone was ever going to sell me Trout and Salmon magazine,
Lisa Palfrey.
it would be Lisa Palfrey.
So for those who don't know Lisa Palfrey is, Lisa would, if you watch the film Pride, for example, Lisa Palfrey is basically the bitch in it who keeps changing the appointments and things.
Oh my God,
she's one of the kindest women.
wonderful.
And then recently I bumped into her and she was doing Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, of course. So what was lovely is that there was me and Lisa barely being able to afford cigarettes, in this horrible call centre. What I'm trying to say, to link our two podcasts, it does get better.
Yeah.
And now I have periods of work when I'm not working and live hand to mouth. Me and my fiance have just broken up, and yet here we are as artists sat around talking about our work, smiling together. Like, our happiness doesn't just have to be dependent on the paycheck, although fucking hell, wouldn't it be lovely if we didn't have rent? But it is just about us spending time together and being kind together.
And can I pull you up on them? It does get better, which I agree with, but I think that more realistically with what we say in the 98% is that it can get better, because it might, that is absolutely amazing for Lisa Palfrey, and she is fucking brilliant. But we don't know, and this is the thing, we don't have a crystal ball in our industry, and we don't know 100% that it will get better. There might be someone else selling trout and salmon for the rest of their life. But what I love about our industry, even when it's really hard and you're selling trout and salmon, is there is always the possibility of change. And even when you're on your ass, your phone could ring tomorrow, in a week, in a month, in 6 months' time, and it could change everything. And it's that keeps us going. And do you know what? Even if I am wrong for the rest of my life, it is that stupid, blind hope that we have of change, that people working in offices, that people doing normal jobs don't have. They have security, they have maternity pay, they have holiday pay, a lot of things that we don't have. But what we have is the fact that you could be selling Trout and Salmon magazine, and the phone could go in half an hour and everything could change. You know?
And I would say to people as well, is if you're doing a job like that is soul crushing and soul destroying, it will get better. You can get better jobs. You can be happier. Will you be 100% happy and in work in 3 years' time? Maybe not. Like, I'm happier in my day job now. I haven't got as much acting work as I would have hoped when I was stood there for 8 hours working in Harrods. But there are ways that you can make things better for yourself, and don't feel like just because you're an actor or in the creative industry that you can settle for a job just because you just get by and it's flexible.
Yeah, and that's not enough. I've said this before in our podcast. If I could offer one piece of advice to other performers, to other creatives, it's that your life has value now, and live your life now, and don't just please, because you'll drive yourself mad. I've met so many actors that are only happy when they're acting, and they say, I'll be happy when. Of course, we'll all be thrilled when we're working for the RSC, but I am not working for the RSC currently. So what can I do to make my life as happy as I can right now? Because I don't want to miss it because I'm waiting. Do you know what I mean?
But then I also think the other thing is, isn't it interesting that there are certain locations, companies, theatres perhaps, where they seem to have more value than something else, like we were saying, like these three elves, for example, that are in the cold dancing. Everyone is assuming that they're having a terrible time. Who's to say that they're not having the time of their lives? Who's to say that's not the case? We're just assuming. Whereas, I've known one particular friend who will remain nameless. His life's ambition was to work at the National. And the day he worked at the National was when he finished the job, was the day he never wanted to be an actor again.
Really? Yeah.
Not because he had achieved what he wanted, because it was nothing like he imagined.
Yeah.
He thought that was his pinnacle, and he had a horrible time.
And just finding the joy. There is joy. Bloody hell, the laughs I've had with people in grottos and in stupid. It's an absolute hoot. You've got to find the joy. We had a laugh today, didn't we, in work, Alexa?
Yeah.
You've got to
the
find
Christmas
the joy in
show that
everything
I
you're
did
doing.
last night at Stagecoach. Best acting work I've done all year.
Absolutely, that's gone straight on her CV.
I played Miss
She worked with
Hannigan.
someone from Maleficent too.
Yeah, I played 2 cameo roles, and I was director and choreographer all in one.
Yeah, and it's all right.
That's good value. That
it
Stagecoach
was.
is getting their money's worth.
Yeah. They are. And I think just finding the joy in everything that you're doing and feel, and do you know what? It's giving yourself the permission to be happy and like not thinking I shouldn't be enjoying this because it's not, Hollywood or it's not Broadway or the West End, but going, do you know what? I'm working as an elf, like that brilliant guy was outside Hamleys, and I'm going to fucking give it some, and I'm going to have myself a nice day, and I'm going to earn
And it
some
might
money.
get better in a year. This time next year, you might be working at the Royal Court, but also you might not, and you might go a whole year without working. So a year from now, you have to look back and find some worth in your life, because that's a year of your life it's gonna blink and go.
But the other thing two things I want to say. First thing is, I think people don't realize that so much of their way of connecting with other artists, other creative people, is fundamentally through a piece of glass that really can't properly talk back to you. And that's through phones, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. You're not really connecting with somebody, even if it's, phone up those drama school mates that you should really have seen 2 years ago and just organize once every 2 weeks. Let's get together. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be a cheap bottle of wine and a watch I'm a Celebrity. Just spend some time together to talk, because actual communication with like-minded people is what makes me happy. And when I'm depressed and when I'm really, really struggling, what do? I make myself a den. I roll up in a duvet. I don't want any connection to the world. And is it any wonder that I am so upset, because I'm not connecting with company, with people. And the second thing I would like to say, seeing as this is our festive, the issue
pigs in blankets have now gone very
you have
cold.
literally,
I've annihilated them.
I was going to suggest, even though it's the 98% meets the Show People podcast, why don't we dedicate today's episode to the 3 elves outside Hamleys?
Oh,
Let's
this
dedicate
one's
it to
for
them.
you. Can we do a cheers to them,
Yeah,
please?
cheers.
To the elves of Hamleys.
To the elves of
Long
Hamleys.
may
And
they
everyone
reign.
else paying their bills.
Everyone else in grottos across the land.
However you are paying your bills.
And on that, I'm going to top up the Prosecco.
Woo!
Hi, this is Scott Garnham, and it's fair to say I've been in a few flops. This is the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats, which most certainly isn't a flop.
Highlights. Okay, so I would say it's something I didn't expect to make, but there was a tribute that the Show People podcast did to Daniel Bolton,
Beautiful.
who was I was in Bournemouth actually, and I heard the news, and the more I read about this young lad, I just found myself sort of immersed in his story and talking to his family, and I never expected to do a tribute episode to somebody so young, and just I know how much that meant to Danny's family. To know that his son is remembered in this little show, so that was really, really, really lovely. Overall, from talking to you guys, from talking to everybody, it's this overwhelming, life-changing realization that our industry needs one thing, and that is kindness above all, and that nobody actually finds it easy, that nobody is just waltzed into any job. Nobody ever feels like they've achieved anything, even if they've got the best job in the world for the way we perceive. No one feels like they've made it. Everyone feels a little bit lonely, as your podcast does. I know we say the antithesis in regards to the focus, but fundamentally we're all saying the same thing. This business is hard, and we just got to be kind to each other.
Yeah.
Just be kind. And Anna Jane Casey said that in her episode, be kind, be kind, be kind. And that is the overwhelming message that I want to put out there. Be kind.
Yeah, and that's what we kind of bring with our podcast too. If you're listening to us for the first time via Andrew on their Show People podcast, we at the 98% take a comedic, brutally honest look at the industry. We've had comments from people who aren't even actors and aren't even in the industry at all that have found it really eye-opening and interesting and funny listening to the podcast. We will make you laugh. We will make you nod along in frustration. We will bring solidarity to you. Some episodes that have really resonated with people is the mental health one, which is our 4th episode called 1 in 3. And our 5th episode called We Are Made of Friggin' Titanium is our episode on resilience, where I speak to my dad, who you mentioned, who's a psychologist. He's written many books. He's a performance psychologist, and the stuff he talks about is what I've grown up with, but now realize is just fundamental in being in this industry to help you get through the tough times. Yeah. He goes all over the world to do these conferences, and he sat down and talked about the stuff he does in his work for free and for all of you to access. There's some really helpful stuff that people have loved to listen to.
We do an episode on resting jobs, but we give like actual, horror stories and also practical advice about
graduating, drama school. We have guests. Sometimes we don't.
We talked to Annie Rowe, who you spoke to.
Who also came on this,
It was funny because when we were interviewing her, and 2 days before we interviewed her, I saw that you had her on. I was like, damn it, he's going to think we copied her.
No.
Yeah, and series 2 will be coming sometime in the coming months. We have some amazing ideas planned and some great guests planned. So come over and just check us out.
And do you know what? There aren't many things in life that are free. And what I would say, probably on behalf of all of us, I mean, Alexa knows, as I do, it can take quite easily an entire day editing an episode. The thing you're listening to at the moment would have been treated and edited, and all the show notes that will go with it, and all the compression, all the other stuff that we put into making these shows. But as it's Christmas, please do consider slinging us a tenner, because things like just hosting the shows comes out of our bank accounts.
That's what we didn't realize. Like, the thing with anyone can start a podcast, you have to pay to host it online, and that's a monthly thing. And we don't want to make people pay for our podcast. The whole point is that we don't want to make it a subscribe fee only kind of thing. No. But we recently did set up a Patreon page, and I've said in a little episode I released last week that if you're a regular podcast listener, you'll find lots of podcasts that have, and that's just to help us it not be a strain for us, because we don't want it to be. And if you've enjoyed the Show People podcast or the 98%, and even if it's just £2, we've had 2 donations so far, and it's a wonderful thing. The biggest smile on our faces.
It's just, as I always say, even if it's, if I bumped into somebody at a bar and you've been listening to the podcast, you'd probably say, oh, can I get you a drink? Well, if you see me at a bar, I will buy you a drink, but please, the cost of a drink, chuck us a £5 each. That would be a lovely Christmas present. And the great thing that we do with any money that we make when we're covering the costs, and I don't take a fee, I don't take a cut of whatever advertising revenue we get or whatever money comes in. It goes into Arian Productions, and then I put on new work. I pay actors. I make masterclasses. Like, we're all doing this just to get by and do something good. And if you've got £2 in, don't give it to Which Magazine if someone from RSVP wants to sling it our way, because you'll be paying for some bandwidth for a couple of weeks, or you'll be paying for some pigs in blankets that Katie is now demolished.
I do not endorse the pigs in blankets.
I do not endorse pigs in blankets. Or there might be some celery, for example.
Breadsticks. Yeah, we're making these podcasts to hopefully make
a difference.
Acting life easier for you.
And we're not looking to make £1 million out of it, but at the same time, it would be quite nice to.
And if
I'd like £1 million.
I'm not poo-pooing the idea, but And
if we've made your life easier or more enjoyable, and you'd like to return the favour, then
send us a Christmas present.
Yes, please.
This is West End producer, and you're listening to the Show People podcast with the sumptuous, the savoury, and the slightly sugary Andrew Keats. Dear.
So this is for you from both of us.
I can't believe you got me a present.
Happy Christmas, Nadali flowers.
Thank you.
This is for you, but can't open it as I'm speaking.
Yeah, this is a real thing, by the way. We're not just making this up. Like, the pigs in blankets really happen, guys.
Yeah, they're all in my face.
So this is for you, but also like for guests of your podcast.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, good rapping, Alexa.
It is really
she
good
did
rapping.
say that she was a good rapper.
That is amazing.
Can you explain what it is?
So I have in my hand a Show People podcast mug, but not a traditional Show People podcast mug, but it says, you're a guest on an award-winning podcast, you know.
Yes. Yes.
That is
And there's
amazing.
the pictures of him and pictures of him winning his award.
But even better than that, there's a little Macca green tea bag in
For
the
the
middle of
wanky
it.
actors, there's matcha green tea.
Lesbian tea, anybody?
Fantastic.
I adore this. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Katie, this is for you, and it's
Oh,
also an
Alexa.
early birthday gift because someone has a big birthday coming up.
I do. I'm going to
21.
be 21 again.
I love this.
So this, oh my God, I can't believe that you've got me these. It's socks. And they say, my cat is cool as fuck.
Let me get a picture.
Sorry, hang on.
That is really, really funny.
Open that right now. I cannot believe how like-minded we are. Just the top bit. Just the top bit.
Socks.
Yeah, guess what they say on them?
Bitches get stuff done.
Bitches get shit done. And it's a picture of you. It's the same company. Oh
And
my
if they want to sponsor
goodness.
the show, they're more than welcome.
Blue Q socks. If you'd like to throw us a fiver, then we'd really appreciate
Blue
it.
Q.
Can you take a picture of us both
Yes, I
with our
can.
socks?
Amazing.
Okay, shall
And
I
for people who have not listened to 98%, Katie's cat, Sir Tomcat Jones, does make some appearances in the podcast.
He does. He's
by
very
the
much
way.
the star of the
That's
show.
why Katie has socks that say
Right,
my cat's
shall
cool as
I
fuck.
open my next one now?
This is actually a homemade gift.
Oh my God, how much sticky tape do you need on these fucking things?
It fell apart. Just rip it open.
Oh God, she's embroidered me something. She's embroidered the word fuck with the most beautiful flowers. Oh, Alexa, you know me so well.
That literally is the
it's
greatest
stunning.
thing I've ever seen.
Tell me you embroidered that yourself.
Yes, I did.
Oh, I love you. Oh,
That is literally going to be...
these are a few of my favourite things.
The word fuck.
Fuck. Yes, it's all I've
It's the
ever
word
wanted.
that comes to an actor's mind when they see an audition email come through the day that they've booked to go on holiday.
Oh, what does this say? Does it say fuck on it? Oh, it's a tea towel and it says you're doing fucking great.
I'm going to put all of these images in the show notes.
It's for when Katie's having one of her days of, doubting yourself as you do as an actor.
And then I can just wash my dishes with the word fuck.
Yes.
This is amazing. Thank you, Alexa. Can you open some more of your presents
Yeah, it's
now,
my
please?
turn.
So I had to give you the socks early.
I've got a book that says Bossing It, a planner for gold digging girls.
I knew...
Goal digging. Oh, there's a quote that says, behind every successful gold digger is herself. That's true. Me. And then you can write my gold digging week with one big thing I must do this week, and then a tick list. I love tick lists.
I know. This book is literally my idea of hell, but I knew that you'd absolutely love it.
Because in my paper diary, I write to do, and then I draw my own little box next to the
You don't need
sentence
to
just so I
anymore.
can tick it off.
They're all there for
And
you.
now the boxes are already made for me. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Am I still going?
Yes, there's more. There's more.
Oh my god!
I've not wrapped them properly because who has the fucking time? I went into Oliver Bonus and I said, will you please wrap all these things? And my friend thinks I bought them all from Oliver Bonus and I spent a lot of money.
Magic mystic ball.
Okay, so you're always saying that you need a crystal ball to know about your career, and now I've bought you one.
Oh, so what does it say?
Wait, let me.
Okay, ask it a question.
Oh, hang on. I don't want to ruin the box.
Okay, so for those of you
my God.
listening,
It's pink.
I've bought Alexa a magic 8 ball. Ask it a question.
Will I book an acting job
Oh, no.
in the next few months?
Everyone, hold on, everyone, hold on.
Looks like yes!
Yay!
Finally!
The magic 8 ball has spoken. Alexa's going to book an acting job in the next few months.
But now if I don't, Katie, the podcast's off. You're no longer my friend.
This is Kumiko Mendel, Artistic Director of Yellow Earth Theatre. You are listening to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats.
It's time for my favourite things.
How exciting.
Ladies, I'm going to exile you on tour in Whitley Bay. I need to know what you need to survive in your digs. Now, you will get a copy of any religious text that you so wish, as well as the complete works of William Shakespeare. Everyone says it'd be a lovely doorstop. I need to know what album, film, TV box set, game, book, play, musical, and luxury item we would need to survive. And as there are 3 of us, and I've never actually done it, why don't we all answer? Let's start with album.
Joni Mitchell, Blue.
Oh, that's a really, really
All
good
I
one.
need to get by.
Can I make a compilation album?
No.
This is not the 90s.
Oh, for God's
You can't
sake.
have a mixtape.
You haven't got a mini disc.
I can't pick a now this. That's what you call music.
You can have a greatest hits album. That would be okay.
I'm gonna have to pick Ask Club 7.
Which one? Which
Whoa,
album?
that's not where I thought this was going.
For nostalgia.
Are we talking Bring It All Back or Never Have a Dream Come True days?
Bring it all back.
Okay,
I was
classic.
listening to that song the other day, and it's actually an actor's anthem. Like the lyrics of it.
Alexa,
it
how
really
much
reminds
Prosecco
me.
have you had? You're saying the whole actor's experience can be personified in Bring It All Back to You. It's like Freud, but in pop. Anyway, Andrew, Joni Mitchell, S Club 7.
I would, do you know what? I would probably go with Queen Greatest Hits. I honestly think it is impossible to listen to the music of Queen and not be moved by it, uplifted by it.
Yeah.
Film. What would be the film? I know it's such a hard one.
Oh no, I've got mine.
Okay, so I've talked about this before. My favourite film of all time is Annie Hall by Woody Allen. That is my all-time favourite film. But unfortunately, I can't
Woody
watch it
Allen.
anymore because
Yeah.
Woody Allen is a cockwomble. So that is
True.
a huge shame because I loved that film. So I'm just going to be an absolute Philistine and I'm just going to throw it out there, guys. Dirty Dancing. Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Yeah, I have to go nostalgia again because people ask my favorite film, and I always say Mean Girls because I can quote every single quote. I could do a one-woman performance of it right now. I mean, things like Train Spotting, Shawshank Redemption are amazing
blah,
films.
blah, but Mean
But you don't want to
Girls,
watch them
though.
over and over again. You've only got
No.
one film. You need something you can get in a duvet with,
Yeah.
perhaps with a packet of, I don't know, Mawam,
Yeah.
and just sit there and go, oh, I can watch this.
I'm going to have me a good day. Andrew, what would yours be?
Mine, this is where my geek side comes up. Mine would be Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, because it's a theatrical masterpiece. And that's the film that I could quite happily watch. That or probably Jurassic Park.
I'll agree with Jurassic Park then.
Now, this is Cassie Compton's fault, this one is in. TV box set.
Mine would be The Sopranos because I've never ever watched an episode and I feel like I missed out on a huge cultural happening. So I think I take the opportunity in Whitney Bay to educate myself.
God, okay. I can't pick, but what springs to mind is Desperate Housewives. Just because it's one of the series that I've watched over and over again, so I obviously like it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, RuPaul's Drag Race I've watched
Of
over and
course,
over again.
Which season? All of them.
All of them. I'm currently watching Jinx Monsoon season
classic.
for the third time.
Vintage year.
Water off a duck's back.
Yeah, but like Dexter, I became obsessed with when I
Season 4.
I binged it, but was so disappointed with the ending. I don't want to go back and watch it all over
So
again.
John Lithgow, the John Lithgow season 4 season, possibly one of the greatest things ever written. And then they had the writers' strikes, and that's why we had season 5. And that's why everything was shit. Loads of great series became shit because of
was
the
that
writers'
what happened
strike.
to Orange is the New Black as well?
Wouldn't shock
I
me.
was
I know
so
Dexter it got
disappointed.
affected.
Oh. Right, go on.
Mine's tricky. Either Star Trek, all of them, because I'm a big sci-fi geek.
Why not?
But then, do you know, I can still go back and watch The West Wing and still go, there is moments of sheer brilliance. And yes, they still have like giant phones, but that writing is just breathtaking. But then I'd also want to say Feud, which might be one of the greatest things I saw.
Oh, they took it off iPlayer after I'd only watched 3 episodes.
that's
and
cruel.
I know. If anyone knows of a way that I can watch Feud, please
and
tell me.
another short
Is it?
box
Oh,
set is
please.
This Country,
Oh,
which I've
yes.
watched both series twice. And because I'm from that area, like I live 15 minutes away from where it's set, and it's just sheer brilliance. If you haven't watched it yet, please do yourself a favor.
Yes.
Okay, now this is game. Now that could be a game for a PlayStation, or that could be a board game that you can play with your batty landlady. Any kind of game whatsoever.
Oh, it's not going to be anything PlayStation related for me because I've never really been that way inclined. I mean, I do love a good game of shithead on cards. That's classic for me on holidays in Costa del Sol.
Mine
Yeah.
is Articulate.
Oh, Articulate's a really good choice.
Because the performer in me, of course, comes out in all of them.
I'm very good at
competitive.
Articulate.
Yeah.
Gosh, game, that is really, really tricky. I I mean, part of me just wants to say Twister. Like,
I mean, it's always a party when there's right hand on red. Am I right?
yeah, but then, part of me want to say that just for comedic effect. But then, I do love a game of Monopoly. But I wouldn't. But do I want to play that somewhere?
In Whitney Bay, I mean, there'd be a murder, surely.
Okay, but now I'm going to get onto book, which I think is the hardest one.
Yeah,
this is the one I know.
Go on then.
It has to be the Harry Potter series. If she was going to put all the Harry Potter books into one, just because I'm a massive Potterhead. Like it's I'm not really a fandom kind of person apart from Harry Potter. It's nostalgia. I mean, so much of these answers for me come down to nostalgia, but it's nostalgia. It's the fact that, I mean, I've read all the books about 3 times, but it's the fact that you can read them as an adult and still get as much joy and notice things you didn't even notice when you were a kid. Like there's something new every time. Like there's things in Deathly Hallows that she plants seeds in Philosopher's Stone that you read them again and you realize going back. Yeah. And there's always new stuff to find and your imagination just goes wild with it. And yeah, that's the only one I definitely know the answer to.
Okay. So if we're talking books, as in actual, proper books, I'd probably go with The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold because it was the first novel I ever read and I love it. And I'd like to read it again as an adult. Yeah. If we're going for reading material, I'm very sorry to have to tell you, but I'd like a yearly subscription to Take a Break, please. if RSVP could sort that out. My husband had an affair with a bus driver. I mean, honestly. If stick a fork in me, give me a Take a Break and put me in a bath and I could sort the world's problems out, honestly.
Do you remember reading like Ms. when you were a teenager?
Yeah, Ms,
Sugar.
Girl Talk, Sugar, all of those. I mean, any of the above really. So, I mean, if it's not going to be the complete works of Shakespeare, then Take a Break will do me nicely. How about you?
Mine would probably be, I'm sort of cheating here a little bit. It would probably be something like the complete works of Oscar Wilde, as in all of his letters, all of his poems, all of his children's stories. The Canterville Ghost is just one of the most beautiful things ever written. But that does feel like cheating because I'm basically just getting loads of plays.
So I had Take a Break. I think you're fine.
But then there are so many important books in my life for so many different reasons. But no, I'd probably go. The Kenneth Williams Diaries is probably one of the most extraordinary things I've ever read. In fact, for people who are interested in other people with, mental health struggles, I'm going to use that word because Kenneth Williams fucking struggled. It is one of the most extraordinary reads to follow a man going through such success, to such loss, and just never being happy and never being able to engage with life, and he's so eloquent and so painfully sad. But it is one of those books, we as people with empathy, it's very easy to take on what is happening in the book. It lives with you. Everything is going through it and it really affected me. I had to put it down. It was a little bit like Tom Riddle's diary, a little bit. Yeah. It really gets in your head.
Andrew, did you see Michael Sheen play him?
Yeah, and it was fucking extraordinary. And so that was directed by Andy DeEmony, who used to be my landlord, because I lived with his son, who was called Denny DeEmony, which is the best vocal warm-up if you need to...
Denny DeEmony. Ooh, don't say that after 3 bottles of Prosecco.
But Andy directed that, and it was absolutely breathtaking. Apparently they had like fuck all budget to do that. Everything was like 2 lights, but it's what beautiful play. What would be the play?
Oh, God. The Rise and Fall of Little Voice. I've played it. I'm just about to play it again.
Are you?
Yeah, I've done it twice. It speaks to me on many different levels, and I love.
You must go back and listen to Annette Badland's episode.
Oh yeah,
because obviously she was in the original production and it was written for her. So go and have a listen to it.
I will.
I can't think too much about this because I'll be here forever, but I would pick a one-woman play so that I could spend my time learning it and just, have a very eclectic mix of monologues in my brain. And that would be Chewing Gum, Michaela Cole, Fleabag, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and Sprinkles by Katie Elin-Salt.
What, this whole thing?
Yeah, Katie's written a play, don't you know?
Mine would always be Bent by Martin Sherman, but I have seen The Inheritance now twice. I'm going to go and see it again. It is also a monstrous size play, probably Bent by Martin Sherman or The Inheritance by Matthew Lopez, because, and I will say this on this podcast, The Inheritance is the finest piece of theatre I have ever seen.
We need to
That's
go.
a huge claim.
Massive claim.
I looked at
Yeah.
the running time though, and I
Doesn't
was
matter.
like, "Oh God."
Doesn't matter.
I have a
Does
very
not
weak
matter.
bladder.
It really, there's enough intervals. It is the shortest, longest play you'll ever see, and it will be with you. It is a seminal work. I mean, those characters will stay with you for the rest of your
Stephen
life.
Fry said it's one of the best things he's seen.
He was at the World AIDS Day gala a few days ago, and then before that, so I was at the opening night, and then I was at the World AIDS Day gala, and I need to see it again.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to
gotta
say
go.
goodbye to those characters yet.
Did you enjoy? Because I heard that I heard mixed things about part 2. Did you enjoy them both as much as each other?
Yes.
I heard that part 2 was the better than
Really?
part 1.
How interesting!
There's
Yeah,
not-
we've got to go.
there is not a
Shows,
single.
doesn't it? People's
There is not a
opinions
single
and things.
moment in it that I would cut. It should not be shorter. It should not be reduced. It is the finest modern play ever written, probably. Okay, going on to musical.
Oh God! I mean,
damn.
I can tell you very, very quickly about that one. It's Miss Saigon for me. Every time Miss Saigon, my mother used to have on tape, and we used to play it in the car. And I can do you every single word. And there is no. I mean, I am a huge musical theatre bod, and I've seen some beautiful new musicals. I saw Fun Home recently in the Young
beautiful.
Vic, which I mean, oh my God, I have never. I cried.
Brilliant.
The Rain. There are some stunning new musicals out there, you know, Waitress, like the brilliant things, but Miss Saigon will always just, that's the baby for me.
I could give about 5 different answers for 5 different reasons. But I'm going to go with Wicked just because it's the one that makes me wish I had a West End level voice so that I could sing Defying Gravity. Like when I have that on my headphones, like suddenly I'm like the best singer in the world in my mind. And I just love it and know all the words.
Mine very easy. It's an easy question, as it always has been for years. Stephen Sondheim's Sunday in the Park with George. I just think it's just bliss. The lyrics in that
Has that been on here?
Yeah.
Where was it on?
It was at the Many a Chocolate Factory, and then it
lovely.
transferred to the Wyndhams. And there's obviously
don't know what they're talking about.
Sorry, talk amongst yourself, Alexa.
it is just. I defy anybody to listen to things like "We Do Not Belong Together" without just sobbing. It's beautiful. Luxury item.
A piano.
Oh, it's good choice.
If you give me for my mental health, for everything in my life, if you sit me in front of the piano with nothing else in the world, I will find a way to get by.
So we're talking about being on tour somewhere, right? Not like in the jungle. I'm a celebrity.
No, you're
I mean,
Whitney
I
Bay,
definitely
but-
haven't ripped this off Desert Island Discs. This is definitely not just an eclectic version of Desert
Because
Island
it's
Discs.
like if I was stranded somewhere, it'd have to be something boring like moisturizing because I have really dry skin. But if we're like on tour somewhere, maybe like probably an iPad or something so I could watch box sets. I just spend a lot of time watching TV.
Is that cheating?
That is cheating, isn't it? Because you only get one film and one box set.
Oh yeah, hang on. Pizza, that's my favorite food. A
Vegan
never-ending
pizza.
supply of pizza. There's some excellent vegan mozzarellas out there, by the way.
Mine would just be Toby Page, the Show People podcast. He's my best mate in the world.
Oh no! I want my cat. I changed my mind. I don't know. I don't want a piano. I just want Sir Tom. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
fine,
an
done.
animal. Yeah. Oh god, if that's no, animals aren't items.
No, they aren't items.
Animals are sentient beings.
They are
Here
sentient
comes the vegan.
I just need my
What
cat.
did you say to us off air about your stomach being a garden?
My stomach's a garden, not a graveyard.
And she said this as I shoveled the 22nd
carcass
pig in
into
blanket
her
into
mouth.
my face. Sorry, what now?
Okay, well, if it wasn't Toby Page, then it would probably be. I'm going to join you on this case. I would say it would probably be a piano.
Yeah.
Just because I will sit there and sometimes I'll go, I'll just start playing. And then you go, oh, I've been sat here for 6
I've got one.
hours.
Yeah.
I've got one. It would be headphones, like surround sound headphones, so I can put in and sing my heart out and pretend I'm on like Broadway.
You can do that right now.
Yeah.
Hello, This is Kim Ismay, and you're listening to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats, and I hope you're having a wickedly interesting time.
Well, it's time for everyone's favourite part of the show, Funny 5 Minutes. Now, we are all going to ask each other as many questions as possible within the next 5 minutes. We are allowed 3 passes each, but use them wisely because who knows what we will ask each other. Let's play Funny 5 Minutes. Sum up Brexit in one word.
Shit show.
Catastrophe.
If you had to lip sync for your life now, what song would you pick?
Holding Out for a Hero, Bonnie Tyler.
Wind Beneath My Wings, Bette Midler.
Hit Me Baby One More Time, Britney Spears.
If you were a mermaid, would you have the bottom half fish or the top half fish?
I mean, it's definitely the bottom half. Otherwise, that's just fucking horrible.
I'd go bottom half myself.
I'll go bottom half too.
We're unanimous on that.
No, I think that's a superb choice. What are the best kind of pants?
Comfy ones.
Big white ones.
Oh, I like a tight, supportive Aussie bum brief personally, but yes.
What's one piece of advice you'd give 16-year-old you?
Oh, don't do that many drugs, whatever you do.
That boy you're about to have sex with, don't do it.
Stop plucking your eyebrows and stop straightening your hair.
Would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Where did we get that question from?
No idea. I would go with the horse-sized duck because it's all about focus.
I would actually go for what's the ones where they're all ducks. I'm panicking. That one because like 100 duck-sized horses because I'm very good with my knees and I think that I could give them a good pounding.
Sure.
I'd go with one horse-sized duck because I'm an animal whisperer. Animals know that I love them, so I'd just whisper in its ear about how much I want to be its friend, and then I'd ride on its back into the distance.
Spoken like a true vegan. What is the strangest thing you've ever had in your mouth?
Oh God!
Oh God. Penis.
I mean, this room.
Thinking it, she said it.
I mean, I'm not thinking it's strange personally. But...
It is a bit though, really, isn't it? If you think about it.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing.
Shall we? Go on.
The strange thing, cricket. I've had a cricket jump in my mouth whilst feeding a bearded dragon.
Zombie apocalypse.
Yep, go on.
What 3 people do you want by your side?
I want Matt Berry. I want Josh Witchard. And I want my mum because she'll take them all on.
Lovely. I want Kean Barry. I want my Sir Tom Cat Jones, please. And I would like Bear Grylls to get me out.
I'd like Jackie Chan to fight them off.
Yes, that makes sense.
Will Finlayson, my fiancé. And Katie Elin-Salt, even though she wouldn't be able to fight them, at least she'd make me laugh.
If you were on death row, what would your last meal be?
Easy. It'd be a fillet steak with peppercorn sauce, triple cooked chips, and a nice spinach.
Sushi, yam tempura rolls, sushi for a starter, vegan pizza, and vegan chocolate fudge cake with ice cream.
Grandma's Christmas dinner.
I knew it. What is your favourite swear word?
Cunt.
The fuck?
It's gonna be cunt for me.
What would your talent at a beauty pageant be?
Fellatio?
I don't know. I'm a very good lip syncer.
Sure.
And mine would be rapping. I love to rap.
Yeah.
What was your part in the school nativity?
This is a real problem. Mm-hmm. So I was cast as the donkey, but David Simmons cried because he wanted to be the donkey. So they magically went, "Oh, we know what you'll be in the stable, a black cat."
But you know, now you have one, so maybe they were thinking.
I mean, he's a tuxedo cat. I was just wear these black tights and this shitty paper face mask that we've made you because David Simmons cried.
Oh,
Fuck you,
David
Although he is
Simmons.
in Afghanistan now fighting for our country. So
Yeah, but
Thank you, David
we're
Simmons.
changing the world with theatre. So.
maybe that was the moment. I was like, I must tell my story. I must tell.
I can't even remember what I was in the nativity, but I do remember doing a Christmas show every Christmas and forcing my sister to do it, where I played all the leads and I did play Mary.
Yeah. My best friend Jess was the lead part of Mystic Meg, and I was a lowly present. But Jess Argent got stage fright at the last minute and said that she had an ear infection. So guess who stepped up to the plate?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe all of our careers come down to
the school nativity.
the school fucking nativity.
The next year, guess what they cast me as? The rat.
Oh, right. In what? In like Dick Whittington or something?
No,
Or?
in the nativity. I scurried on
There's
at the
not
end.
a rat in the nativity.
I know, that's why it was such a small part. I was furious.
I think you'll find there are no such thing as small parts, only small actors.
No, but they really
Which
are,
ironically, you would have been a small actor.
I
suppose.
was tiny.
Should we do one last question?
Yeah.
It's just it's Christmas.
Yeah.
What is the best Christmas present you've ever had? Let's end on a high note.
I can't remember the best, but I can remember the one that I was most happy to receive. And it was when I was a kid, and it was a baby Annabelle, who I
classic.
still have. I was so chuffed to get her. And actually at drama school, when I played Natasha and the Three Sisters, they made me do method acting, where I had to have a baby Bobbick, which was my child in the play, and I had to carry it around for a week. So I fished out baby Annabelle, who'd spent some time in our treehouse. She'd lost her eyelashes on one eye. One of her eyes droopy.
It's terrifying.
And
Like
her
Liza Minnelli.
outfit was all moldy. So I had to change her outfit, have some eyelashes on one eye, and carried her around drama school for a week.
I got given a karaoke machine aged 8, and it had tape recorder, and I got to do like the whole of Top of the Pops on it, when you used to record like off the telly. And then I got given a backing track, and I used to, as I said, Bette Midler, Wind Beneath My Wings was on there. And I think that was really, really crucial in my career development, actually.
I can honestly say, again, coming from a family with no money, I don't know how they did it. But I was one of the kids that got Tracy Island.
You bastard!
I got a proper one, not those shitty ones you made off Blue Peter. Sorry, guys. No papier-mâché for me. Genuine plastic. But I had a Tracy Island, and I think my mum and my nan had camped overnight at Toys R Us.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, so young. She's young.
Thunderbirds. You must know Thunderbirds.
I didn't watch Thunderbirds, no.
Yeah, but you must have heard of Thunderbirds.
Well, I've heard of Thunderbirds, but
You know the
Tracy Island,
puppets?
mate.
Yeah,
I
but-
appreciate for a podcast me acting out how a puppet works isn't great.
I'm
for
just
radio.
doing a
You
very
actually
strong
got one
impression
of
of
the
a puppet right
puppets.
now.
Well, sadly, that noise tells us that it's the end of the show. But before we go, just a few parish notices. Thank you to everybody that listens to the show and has been on the show. But for 2018, let's thank the 98%!
And thank you, Andrew, for having us.
We've had a fantastic time.
We've only been here like 4 hours.
They've drunk me dry. There's nothing left, but we've had a wonderful evening. Firstly, how can people keep up to date with all that you guys are up to?
Okay, we do have a Facebook at the 98%, but we find it a lot easier and more enjoyable to connect with people on Twitter.
Sure.
We're at the 98% pod. You can email us. We'd love to do an episode of stories of people in the industry. Email us about anything, questions, the 98%pod at gmail.com. We have a website, the 98%pod.com, where we have a blog where we host loads of amazing blogs from our listeners. If you have something you want to blog about, do get in touch. And we've just started our Patreon page, and that link is on our website if you go to the support us. But go on Twitter, all the info's there, the 98% pod, and thank you so much to everyone who's listened.
Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Keats. You can follow the show at ShowPeopleUK and use hashtag ShowPeoplePodcast on Twitter, and you can even see behind the scenes at our Instagram account, Show People Podcast. This podcast is produced by Arian Productions Limited, dedicated to giving opportunities to theatre makers. If you'd like to find out more about the work we do, visit arian-productions.com, and you can also make a donation at arian-productions.com/donate, or even purchase your very own Show People Podcast mug and pen, where all profits from our merchandise go towards supporting theatre makers. From the Show People Podcast and the 98%, we wish you a very Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas! Christmas!
And a Merry Christmas. Please subscribe to both shows, leave us a lovely review on iTunes, and don't forget, just be better.
Time for your festive pay the... Oh, fuck's sake. It's time for your festive pay the bills, job bender. I'm just...
Glorious Christmas season for the 98%. It's time, and you come in on time.
Okay, let me just get these levels.
Oh, God.
We are going to be here for a while. This will be the hardest part.
Don't you worry.
It's time for your...
Time for...
If I can sing it, maybe
Yes, you can.
sing it.
No.
No.
Oh.
You have to. We have to go. It's time.
Actors are taking control.
It's all gone feral. Right, okay. It's time for your festive pay the bills work bender. I know it's wrong. Being advised to just get a job in EastEnders. Do it again, sorry. Being advised to just get a job in EastEnders. Okay, good. Being advised to just get a job in EastEnders. Okay, one more time.
Why don't you do the first two lines?
Yeah. In fact...
That is what we call passing the buck.
Oh, I see. Why don't you go fuck yourself?
Mince pie.
Another glass of wine. Right, okay. I'll do the first two bits. Right, okay.
As a crotchet, probably.
You're giving me some more credit than due, I think. Okay, let's try after the...
Yeah, I'm just going to try it. Give me a sec.
And when we nail it, it will be worth
great.
the wait.
Yeah, which is what we always get with our things, isn't it? Okay.
And the songs are one of our favourite parts.
I'm just delighted at all the outtakes I've got for the end of the show.
Yeah.
Please don't include my very out of tune singing.